I'm Justin Warner. I'm joined by Ryan Penagos, and I've got Angelique Roche returning.
Hi.
But most importantly, we have our very special guest, Nick Spencer.
Hey. Thank you for having me.
Nick, I was so excited to sit next to you that I was like, can I have 2 microphones to be next to Mr. Nick Spencer, writer of Amazing Spider-Man? How cool
He specially
is that?
requested the seat next to me.
How cool is that to be the writer of Amazing Spider-Man?
I tell you, man, I'm still really getting used to it. But it's nice. It's nice. Look, this is, in my opinion, the best job in comics. It's the book that I've always dreamed of writing. It's Marvel's flagship character. And yeah, we're having a blast so far. So, dream come true for sure.
What's it like taking over the reins of like Peter Parker and saying with great power comes great responsibility, and that's like all in your pen or mind or whatever people modern use to write these days. I use a Surface tablet there.
Yeah, look, it's a huge honor. It's a huge responsibility. You don't forget that. The fans of this character are so passionate. And yet it's my job to make Peter's life very difficult. It's my job to put all kind of obstacles to his happiness in my way while they're just pulling for him to be happy and have a good ending. And so that's the trick of the job, but it's fun.
Well, speaking of happiness, I'm actually really excited because MJ's back in the picture.
Mary Jane Watson, yeah.
So how is that like? Can you give us any reveals on how that's going to unfold? Like, where's that going? Is it?
I'm not going to say too much, but what I can say is it's not a fake out. Like, they really are back together, as you see in that.
Awesome.
Last
that makes me feel a lot better. My heart is much better now that I know that it's real.
Right. Right. No, it's the real thing. It's the real thing. True love wins. It was really exciting. I had, Nick Lowe's told this story. Nick Lowe, the editor on Amazing Spider-Man, has told this story. When we were trying to figure out who could draw this book, I knew that Ryan was getting towards the end of Invincible and everything, and so, I said, what about Otley? Would he be interested? I knew that he was a big Spider-Man fan. He was always, in his free time drawing Spider-Man and putting it up, and people were going nuts for it, and you could see that he was, that he could be the next great Spidey artist if that's what he wanted. So when he said yes, I was just, I was over the moon. I was really ecstatic about it. And then, as soon as we started getting pages in, really early on in the first issue, there's a scene that's like a giant alien invasion of New York, and it's a double-page spread of like all the Marvel heroes. And when I got that one, I was like, wow, this was a good call. I'm very happy about that.
And New York is loaded with obstacles. Do you take obstacles from your real life and just apply them to Peter Parker?
Yeah, I lived in New York for years, so it was, for me, it's a nice little homecoming. Like, it's like I get to really write about the city, and I get to make full use of it. We're trying to make sure that New York is a character in the book, as it should be, I think, in any great Spider-Man story. So, it's drawing back on that experience and kind of, trying to capture the quality of the city now, because it's changed a lot from what you think of as like classic Spider-Man New York stories. So it's kind of a different set of obstacles, now it's like, how in the world could Peter Parker afford rent in Manhattan?
Yeah.
What happens when Spider-Man gets stuck in a subway delay? It's just, it's a very different place.
Right. Aunt May is now like Airbnb-ing, and there's no room for him to crash.
He's got he's got obviously Fred Myers, aka Boomerang, is his roommate, and it's a sublet situation.
It's a little bit of a twist.
Yeah, right. So that's it's definitely trying to capture what New York is like now.
That's great. So I have a very selfish question. I am kind of the chef of heroes and the heroes of chefs here at Marvel. And so I'm wondering, in your mind, what is the go-to, like on-the-go, I'm web-slinging snack for Spider-Man?
It's got to be either. I feel like Spidey is a hot dog vendor guy.
Right.
Generally, like it's hard to not see it. But we've actually got a scene coming up where he's got a little halal guy, where he's got some beef and rice action going on.
Oh man, mixed rice. I was like, if
So-
you say lamb or chicken, I will have a problem. But if you say mixed rice, I will like.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Great job.
Pete is always, he's always swinging around grabbing food. So I feel like the food truck revolution has been very good for Spidey's career.
That's great.
So we gotta, we gotta make sure that we capture that too.
So speaking of New York, and speaking of not being able to afford rent, this whole roommate situation.
Well, there might be some fights about the dishes. I'd written, Boomerang in Superior Foes of Spider-Man. Loved writing that character. And when I got Amazing Spider-Man, I was immediately trying to figure out how I could get Fred into the mix. And I think kind of a quintessential everyman struggle is with like roommates. That your roommate can feel like your biggest enemy and can seem like the worst person in the world. And so what better place to put a supervillain than make him the roommate?
Door
Yeah.
from your room.
Right.
In your apartment.
Right. So,
Great.
yeah, Fred's going to be a terrible, terrible roomie. I promise that. I don't want to say too much, but we have a really great Peter, MJ, and Fred scene coming up. Not too far down the road.
So back in the day, I had a roommate who worked for our distinguished competition. And
Wow.
so we always had this thought, like, what if we invited the president of Marvel and the president of this other company to come over for dinner at the same time? And they both brought casseroles, and they came over, and just wacky stuff ensues. And I think about that when I read this book, and I'm just so excited for the possibilities of stuff. And like, I think, we go to the bar with no name. Is that something that
What's
I
up?
saw? The bar with no name.
Bar with No Name is going to be featured in a major way coming up in Amazing Spider-Man 6 and 7. Which is a very Pete and Fred story.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's exciting to this point in time for Spider-Man. We've had amazing films. We have wonderful cartoons. Of course, the comics continue to be incredible. We also have an incredible video game. You're a big gamer, right?
Yeah.
How excited are you for just being part of the Spider-Man world at this point?
I've gotten to play it. Got to play it a little at E3. What I can say about it, it's one of the most, like, if you're a big time Spider fan, this is going to be one of the most like cathartic experiences you'll ever have. When I did the demo, I didn't even really play the game. I didn't even fight. I just swung around New York City for 20 minutes, and it was unreal. Like the level of detail in this game, and just the euphoria, the feeling that you get swinging through the open air like that. It's everything you could hope for that game to be. I'm so excited for people to play it. Like it's going to be a huge moment for anybody that's a fan of the character. That's like the classic writer thing is you can struggle with an idea all day, and then as soon as you put your head to the pillow, you're like, oh, that's it. And thankfully, hopefully, it's waiting for you there in the morning. You can have that thing where you do dream about it, and then you're trying to pull back the memory of it in the mornings.
Right.
It's horrible. It's horrible feeling.
That's a bummer. How far out are you when you're thinking about your stories? I mean, I say this knowing kind of how, to an extent, how far out.
Yeah,
because
you were in the room
I'm
for
in the
some of
room
this, I
when you're
think.
saying, okay, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not quite, Jonathan Hickman level of notebooks and stuff, but I definitely, am one of those people where I'll suddenly just be like, and then in year 2 or then in year 3, I pitch a really, ambitious long-term plan. With this book, I mean, I wanted to give it my all, so. We definitely are coming in with a pretty defined vision for like where we want this to go, and it's a very ambitious long-term story. The scope of it is bigger than anything I've done before. So,
do you have classic Spider-Man runs that you think about, that you love, you go back to sometimes, either whether to reread or just put in your headspace as you're working?
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, everything starts with Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, and really, everything you need is in that run. But past that, I've said, I'm a fan of so many Spidey writers. Roger Stern, a big one. J.M. DeMatteis, a big one. Jerry Conway. There are just some. Bill Mantlo, Peter David. Like they're just. I could go all day with like all the different arcs, and I'm following a great one. Like I'm following Dan Slott, who's had a legendary run on this. So, I when I got this, I went back and reread everything I could get my hands on. I opened up Marvel Unlimited and just started going to town, and I found it came very easily. Like that's a lot of fun. I don't mind reading Spider-Man comics all day long. So
when you're plotting out these arcs and swings, like when I'm cooking a dish, I often know like what the end result is I want, and then I have to kind of like connect the dots to try and figure out like what I have to do to get that end result. Is that how writing works, or
I think
are
so?
you
Yeah, that a lot of times you have your end point in mind. You have like where you'd like to get to, and then I think in a lot of ways, just like with cooking, I think it's figuring out how long you need to give things. How you build things. Like how the different elements or the different ingredients are going to work together.
Right.
So it's I think you'd be surprised. It's really similar.
So we're here at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about this earlier. Like it's amazing. It's a big, amazing,
So much fun.
huge. I know someone compared it this morning to Mardi Gras for for nerds.
Yeah.
Like, what are you most looking forward to here over the next couple of days?
I am doing my first Amazing Spider-Man panel tomorrow.
Nice.
I'm very excited about that. That's a big deal. That's a big deal for me. So I'm excited, and it coming, just a week after the first issue and all that. I couldn't ask for better than that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So and folks can pick up the issue now.
Yeah.
It is available.
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man #1 is out. How many issues are we doing? Is it like the frequency of issues?
We'll be twice a month.
Yeah, that's
24 issues a year, twice a month. Yeah.
busy?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
See, down there,
People
they're
are
loving
excited.
it too.
They
super into
heard
it.
24 issues. They got fired up.
Yeah. I also want to say you before this an amazing run with Captain America.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite point in that Captain America run? Something you
I
picked up on?
I loved all of the Sam stuff. Nothing will ever quite compare to like the Hail Hydra reveal and like just that exploding out into the world and everything. That was really, really incredible. But getting to tell Sam's story was really my favorite part of it. What we did in Sam Wilson Captain America and especially what we did towards the end of Secret Empire when he puts the suit back on and everything. That was the stuff that I'm probably the most proud of.
When you come to a show like Comic-Con, do you actually get to go out and walk around, see anything? I'm always curious about what people collect. I know I'm going looking for very specific issues of our 90s parody series. Yeah, there's
One of the
recognition
greats.
there.
One of
So
the greats.
good. Milk and Cookies. If you could find a way to bring the characters Milk and Cookies into proper continuity, I will
Need
give you a
that.
crisp $1 bill, Nick Spencer.
We'll work on that.
All right.
We'll work on
That
that.
sucker
I'm
for
taking
him.
requests.
I'm looking for those. I'm looking for some issues of What If. Are there things that you look for?
I definitely come home with more than I should. The statue problem is look for me, honestly, so much of the fun is just getting to come and talk to the fans and interact with the fans and do the panels and the signings but I always manage to find a few hours to get around and walk the floor and have some fun.
One of the things that I think a lot of our fans, the people who are watching, don't understand is how a comic sometimes comes together where you're writing wherever you are. I will not give your secret location away, but Ryan Otley, he'll be a different state.
Yeah.
Thousands of miles away.
Yeah, for sure.
New York, we have the Marvel offices,
Yeah.
and you may have a letterer who's in New Jersey.
Yeah.
You could have all these things. Roberto Ramos is in Mexico City. He worked on a story.
Right.
Do you get to see your collaborators often? Have you met Ryan many times before?
Ryan and I just met today.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's crazy. We all work from home. We like you said, we work from completely different parts of the world. Half the time, I'm working with an artist that's completely on the other side of the planet. I've gotten to work with a lot of great like European artists that a lot of times you're working with artists where maybe you don't speak the same language. So you're finding different ways to communicate and everything. So that's part of the fun of the job. But it is so great when you get to meet them in person and you get to have dinner and you get to kind of put a face to the name and it really reminds you what a collaborative medium this is and what a team effort it is and it's funny because it's like you're meeting these people who are on one level are strangers and on another level are like good friends and coworkers, so it's interesting.
When it comes to writing, what would you say is one of your like favorite devices? You're like, watch this, I'm going to foreshadow the heck out of it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, I love, like, there's certain ingredients and flavors that I love, and they're just like, that felt so good.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for the good, like, last page twist.
Ooh, last page twist.
That's what I'm always after, that I just can't settle for ending an issue without throwing you for some kind of a loop. It's addictive. It's addictive.
One of my favorite things in comics is when you get, it's not the last page necessarily, if you're in like, page 8 or something like that, that last panel on the, on the right-hand page, that you've got something there that like you can't see what's happening
that
next.
Like leads them.
Yeah, those are really super impactful for me.
Yeah, that page turn, that's something that's unique to comics. And it's like, leading the reader from page to page is such a huge part of what making comics is figuring out with every page how to turn it, how to get them to where they want to find out what's next, and there's nothing quite like that anyplace else.